I view the entrepreneurs, like the real estate investors, almost like the athletes of entrepreneurs. You know why? Because with one check, you can get as much as you might have made than last year. You went from making $50,000 a year to closing a $50,000 flip. But just like a famous celebrity or an athlete, you now have the power of 1 year in your hand. You know, it's like you were used to that spreading out over a year. Now you've got in one check. Then you're like, what do I do with this?
What's going on, everybody? I'm Chris Naugle, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode is going to be pure fire. It's going to be pure fire because what we're going to talk about will change your entire future, no matter what you're in. But specifically, if you're a real estate investor, this episode is for you. Now, let me just sum one thing up, and I'm going to use my past. Now, back when me and my wife were doing the TV show, we were flipping about 20 houses a month. Now, I don't care if you're doing one or none or 100 a month, you all will get into a place where money and cash flow becomes a problem. You'll feel like you're always broke. I don't care how many you're doing. You'll be in a state of what is going on? Why is there never any money? And if you felt that way, this episode's really going to change everything for you because there is a simple solution to how you can fix that problem. I just did a event here last night, a PMC Money Tank pop-up event, and I talked to a guy. He had 50 units, and you know, they always pound their chest. You know, every real estate investor's got 50, 100, 1,000 units. They're pounding their chest. I'm the man. And then I got into it. I said, "So what are your problems?" He said, "Well, you know, we always seem to have a little bit of a cash flow problem." I'm like, "You don't say." Don't say 50 units and everybody around us, because everybody's like, oh, this is the big guy in the room. Everybody around us is like 50 units and you got cash flow problems. Folks, that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. My guest, David Richter, has been on the show before. He runs a company called Simple CFO because it's simple, just like I said. And we're going to uncover some of the simplest truths to how real estate investors can change their future dynamic and their cash flow. And that's what we're going to dive into. David, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Man, that was awesome. That was a fire introduction. I feel like, lots of people there in that place. So I appreciate that.
Not a problem. I gave it no thought. I just winged it.
Yeah, well, it was great. Great job winging it.
All right, David. Well, let's dive right in. We got a lot to unpack here. So let me quick just kind of go through for the audience and just talk a little bit about you. I'm going to go into your bio here. So you have done or been part of 850 deals over a period of the last 10 years. Now, for anyone that doesn't understand the magnitude, me and my wife did 274, and I am so fortunate to still have my hair. Now, I did have to go through this period where I was taking that stuff that helps your hair grow back, because I swear to you, I started losing my hair. That's how much stress there was. You did 850 and you still have hair. That all in of itself could have been an entire episode of how to keep your hair when doing 850 real estate deals, but we're not going to go there. And you've transitioned a lot, like we all have. I transitioned, from flipping houses to renting to then being the bank and lending. And you kind of did something unique, and I love it. So let's dive in just a little bit. Let's go back 10 years ago. David, let's go back to when you first started, like that whole journey over 10 years, and then how you transitioned, and then what you're doing today. And then let's dive into the weeds about some of this stuff.
Yeah. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's how I got started. Like a lot of real estate investors, bought my first house, said this was awesome. And it was a really good deal. I was very fortunate, had a lot of good people around me, a lot of good mentors. But then I was like, I want to get heavier into real estate. So I joined a real estate company that was doing about 5 wholesale deals a month at that point. So it was a pretty decent sized company already. But then over the next 5 years, we scaled it up to 25 deals a month. And then we weren't just wholesaling. We were wholesaling, flipping, turnkey, rentals, subject to land contracts, like we were doing lots of different things. And from there, though, I got to sit in lots of different seats. So I got to, it was such an incredible learning experience, because I got to be in acquisition, sales, property management, project management. Finance was one of the seats I sat in. go figure there. But that's where I sat in that seat for about a year near the end of my time there. And I figured out like being able now to read the numbers, like I got into it, and I have no financial background, not a bookkeeper, CPA, accountant, or anything. So I sat with the CPA and said, teach me how to read a profit and loss and a balance sheet. And he did. And then I realized we were doing 25 deals a month, but spending 26 worth out the door. And it's like, this doesn't work. Like no wonder why we can't get bonuses or raises, or like the leadership team is stressed out all the time. It's like, this is nuts. And what you were saying about hair, yeah, it's like that was the first time I've ever had an anxiety attack. It was nuts. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like why are we doing all this? But then it got crazy because then, man, I love that you had that story from yesterday, because I would go to different events when I was there. I was starting to join masterminds at different groups, and we would go there and they'd be like, yeah, we have 100 units, or we got a 7-figure business. Then you talk to them, they're crying at the bar. Like, yeah, but where's all the cash? It's like the same exact situation. So then I heard that it wasn't just us. It was like an epidemic in the real estate investing world. So that just like perked my ears up.
David, let me stop you there. You said a word, an epidemic. Like,
yeah, it is
that. Oh, it is so an epidemic, folks. Like, listen, if you're in real estate and you're proud, right? Real estate investors are some of the most proud entrepreneurs out there. They have built their empire. But when you mentioned that guy at the end of the bar crying, he had 1,000 units and he's crying because he has no money. Right. Is the truth. Folks, I don't mean to cut you off, David, but we really have to take a deep look into ourselves and stop playing this facade of this mighty real estate investor with all these units. And literally, sometimes we need to just dig in and be transparent. There's a problem, and I need to figure out how to fix it, because if you don't, you will be out of business. Now, I want to hit one other thing, David, and I want you to keep going. Right now, we're at a crux in the entire market environment. I don't care if it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and real estate. We're coming off of the highs. So for the last decade plus, we have had this unbelievable environment where everything has gone up. All of you real estate investors, listen to me very closely. You are now on the other side of that. You are on your way down. Your real estate will lose value in the next few years. I don't care how good your real estate is, and I don't give a shit where in the country you live. You're about to realize appreciation going to depreciation. Your values will go down. So if you don't figure this out, the market will figure it out for you, and you'll be done. So this is so vital, so important for the times and the economic conditions that you better start paying attention. So just pause for 2 seconds, because what David's about to unleash on you, you have to listen to. Grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper and start taking notes. If you're driving down the throughway, pull over, take the first exit, park in the parking lot, and write this down, because this is the future for your family and for your real estate business. Sorry about that.
No, that was great, because I want to help people that are in that mess, because it's nuts that so many people are there. And I love what you said about, about real estate investors being the proud entrepreneurs. And it's honestly for good cause. You know why? I view the entrepreneurs, like the real estate investors, almost like the athletes of entrepreneurs. You know why? Because with one check, you can get as much as you might have made the last year. You went from making $50,000 a year to closing a $50,000 flip. But just like a famous celebrity or an athlete, you now have the power of 1 year in your hand. You know, it's like you were used to that spreading out over a year. Now you've got in one check. Then you're like, what do I do with this? And then no one knows what to do with it. And then you get into the situation where you're doing 25 deals a month and spending 26 worth. So that's like, get it while the getting's good. Like, know where you are right now. And I'll talk about that later, but okay. Let me go back to the story. But that's what reminded me of that, because I'm like, you're good at doing the deals. You're good at that. Just let's manage the money. Then on the other side, so then I moved across the country, started helping another real estate investor, partner with him. First thing I said was like, show me your books. I don't give a rat's behind what you say about the business. Like, I want to see the numbers. Like, show me the numbers. And the numbers were a mess. just like most real estate investors that are doing the 25 deals a month, but spend 26, but don't have a good set of books and don't have any idea what are I making, spending, or keeping in my business. Do I make enough, spending it in the right places and keeping any of it? So then I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this in order and we're going to get you at least those 3 numbers so you can know consistently where your money's going. Because he was always asking, where's my money? Where's my money? I'm like, we're going to find it. So then we did. We cleaned it all up, got the numbers in place. He was able to like refinance a portion of his small portfolio, like take several $100,000 out. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is mind blowing. Like this has been life changing because now I know where it's coming from. I know where it's going and I know what I'm keeping now. And I got to refinance, put some money in my pocket. I'm like, okay, I got to put a business around this. Cause like if I could just give people clarity of where the money is to make better decisions, that'll be enough. Then I had a mentor call me and said, I heard you're starting a business to give people clarity around the numbers. You should read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So that night, read it, the whole book, took 10 pages of notes and said, boom, this is the cash flow system because I'm an entrepreneur and it spoke to me. Even though I look like the nerdy numbers guy, I get it. Like I am an entrepreneur. I love doing the deal. And the Profit First book spoke to me of like, I could actually manage the money. I could tell it where it's going. I could set up the system. So that's when I started implementing Profit First with real estate investors. That's when I started the business, like just trying to give people clarity. And that's always the progression. Then a year into it, I actually reached out to Mike Michalowicz and said, hey, could I write Profit First for real estate investing? I've got a big real estate background and now we've implemented it. And I've seen the people that were sitting at the bar with the $1,000 units or the $1 million businesses or whatever, now are actually keeping their money. They actually know where it's going because of this system. So that's where he let me write the book. And, that's where I am today.
David, I am living proof of that. I read that book too, and I read it when I was in a mess, and I had no idea of even what the book was about, but somebody said, you got to read Mike's book. And then I had Mike on my podcast and vice versa. But that book, literally, for some of you, it will just unlock something. But, if you're a real estate investor, read David's book, and we'll cover that in a second. But here's the thing. Like if you're a real estate investor and you're like, oh, I got all these deals, but I never seem to be able to pay myself, or I pay myself and then I'm broke again. Let me just give you clarity. After I started using this in my real estate business, every quarter, clockwork, I take a profit check every single quarter. There's not been a quarter since I applied what you're about to learn that I haven't been able to take a profit check. Now, that never happened prior to doing this. So my business model didn't change. My properties didn't change. Not like I went to all my tenants and said, hey, I'm increasing your rent 100 times so I can take a profit check. It was just this simple change that allowed me to do it because it provided that clarity.
Yeah, that's where so many people start to implement this. And they're like, where was this money going before? It's not like any more is coming in. Just I know where it is now.
The black hole, right? That's where it all went.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. But so that was the journey. But then as far as Profit First, or if you want me to go into that, like this is what I teach people all the time. Like if I can just give this bare bones of what Profit First is so people could get that message, we'll just dive into that. You're good with that, Chris?
Absolutely.
So, okay. The first thing I do want to address that I address with most people is like what we were talking about, the real estate investor being the athlete. Like we get into the comparison game a lot. We go to these events, we go to these masterminds, we go to these events and we say, what are they doing? And we're letting them dictate our business. That's no bueno. Like, why are we letting other people decide what's happiness for us and what we should be doing and how many units we should have and how much so that's one big thing I want to just get out there on the table, because most people, their business plan is the hope and pray plan. I hope I make enough and I pray there's some at the end of the year, and I'm basing my numbers off what someone else is telling me. So it's like a jumbled mess. They have no idea going into business what they really need. So that's where we take people and say, you need to know what you need from your business. Do you know what you need personally to take from the business on a monthly basis to support you and your family? Most people don't even have that number. And it's like, that's the first North Star, because that number is personal to you. It is not something anyone else can dictate to you or tell you that you should be doing. It is more like, I know that this is what I want, because a lot of people say they get into real estate for financial freedom. And to that, then that means time, relationship, money, all that types of freedom. But then none of their financial decisions are based around freedom. It's all about locking up the next deal, more money, doing this stuff. And then they're, like they're thinking they're working for their family, but they're doing it to their family. I heard that one time. I'm like, that's such a great statement for the entrepreneur. It's like, we think we're doing this for them, but we're doing it to them. And that's where we have to get away from that. So that would be the first thing. I want to get that out there on the table. Like, get your keep number. I call it the keep number in the book. Like, find what you need to keep from the business, because that will be the first number that guides you on your business journey, no matter where you are. Even if you're doing $1 million a year, I've talked to people literally across the Zoom screen that are doing $1 million plus a year and still paying themselves like poor wages, like 35K or under. I'm talking about just, they're living in poverty almost. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? They're just like, I don't think I can pay myself more. It's like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that funny though? Like, I'm part of a lot of masterminds, and I was part of more of them before. And I can't even describe, you go to these masterminds and there's these guys and they're doing 5 million, they're doing $10 million. And you're like, oh, these are the titans,
rock stars. Yeah.
Now you go to a mastermind, like, let's just say that's a couple of years ago. And now you go to the same mastermind, and those ones, like, they don't want to say it yet, but they're like, well, the market shifted and things are tough. Does anyone have any suggestions about this? And it's like, wait a second. You said you were making $5 million. You see, we get so blinded by the number, $5 million. It's not what you make, folks. You could be making $500 million. It's what you keep that matters. It's what you get to live a better life and provide a better life for your family that matters, not the gross number. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, we could park there a while, right? Revenue is sanity, profit is, revenue's vanity, profit is sanity. I like the cash flow. I like cash flow is king. Cash flow management is king. Like, cash, to me, not king. Cash flow, not king. Cash flow management. You know why? Because if you have the cash and you have the cash flow, like, you need to put it in the right place. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. But here we go. Like, here's profit first in a nutshell. In a nutshell, it's number one, making sure that, yes, you know what you need to keep. But then from there, it's the mindset of, it's sales minus profit equals expenses. So everyone else has the BS formula. Sales minus expenses equals profit. Meaning, I make a sale, I pay everyone else and their mother, and then the profit's what's left over. That's how most people operate their business. It's like, hopefully there's a profit. But the profit first formula is sales minus profit equals expense. Meaning, I make a sale, I take my profit off the table, I dictate how profitable we're going to be, and then we have the expenses still there to grow the business and do the things, for the business health. That's where so many people have it backwards, where they're thinking about paying themselves last. And they get a lot of these ideas just from the books or from entrepreneurs, and then they take the extreme cases like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates and stuff. It's like, you are not Microsoft, Snapchat, Facebook, like, where venture capital is pouring money into you or whatever. Like, you are your mom and pop shop. You need to be able to eat, not be stressed out all the time. You need to know where your money's going and be profitable. So then here's the difference though, because I feel like we get that message like from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like a lot of the different books. So The Richest Man in Babylon, like, if you're a reader, you might have heard that concept before. Like, this is Pay Yourself First from Robert Kiyosaki, or like a portion of all I have is mine to keep. That's where Profit First has an actual system behind it, where it puts in practice the actual formula. It doesn't just say pay yourself first. It's like, here's how to do it. So here you go. In a nutshell, it is the envelope method. So if you've heard of the envelope method, like for personal finances, love them or hate them, Dave Ramsey, has made the envelope system very popular, where it's like the different envelopes for all your expenses, and you give every dollar a name. That's the crux of that system. Well, I want you to give every dollar a name in your business. It comes into your business, I'm giving that dollar a name. I'm going to put different envelopes, which are now going to be bank accounts. I'm going to set up different bank accounts in my business, so that way I can name the dollars and tell them where to go. That's why, because we were talking about this, I think it was Chris, we were talking about this right before. You're like, hey, I used to have one big bank account, everything went in and out. It's like, it was a mess. That's how most people operate before being exposed to a system like this, is that they have one big bank account, all the money goes in, it goes out, no clarity whatsoever. It's just
how many bank accounts do you think I have now? Yes. How many?
55.
It's a little under that. It's 47.
Okay, I was close though. I just know you. Are you counting your policies as bank accounts too?
No, that would put me over 50. Yeah, that
I
would
was going
add
to say,
that would add 9 more, right? No, but I should. But all my policies feed into one segregated account for my
yeah,
banking, and eventually I'll probably have 2 segregated accounts because now I got a trust system. So
yeah.
now each policy will have a specific task within that trust system. But that's getting high level. But yeah,
Oh
if I
yeah.
include that, I'm 9 more.
I was going to say then I was very close if you include those
Sure were.
because I love profit first and infinite banking, and I feel like the policies are like another bank account. Like if you have, especially if you just get started out and you have 1 or 2, it's like, okay, what are those specifically for? But I digress.
We should
That's
write profit first for infinite banking concepts.
Oh yeah, I've already talked to Mike. Like I think we should go down that road. Do something like that because it's such a system where it's like it's very married together. It's like you want to turbocharge this, but then that's where okay, let's go back to profit first. Here's the couple bank accounts that I would name first. These are the foundational ones that will help you achieve number one. Remember, point number one was like find what you need to keep. Stop the comparison game. Stop all that. So here's the 3 bank accounts to set up first. I call them the golden trio. Just like every great movie of all time, like this big epics like Star Wars, Harry Potter, 3 main heroes, right? Luke, Han, Leia, making sure good wins in the end. Your business is your epic saga. So let's set up 3 accounts. The golden trio going to help you win. Number 1, profit. Number 2, owner's comp. And number 3, owner's tax. These are all your keep accounts. All 3 of these help you keep more of the money you're making. Profit is the icing on the cake. Profit is what Chris was talking about. Like once a quarter, he's taking out profit from his business. It's a quarterly distribution where you take it and you do what you want with it, whether that's invested in real estate or more real estate, or whether that's going out there and buying that boat you've always wanted. Like use the profit for whatever you want. Then we have the owner's comp. Owner's comp to me is the key account that helps people get out of their rat race. So if you're feeling like you're living deal to deal or salary to salary, paycheck to paycheck, whatever it is, it's like, I want you now to pay yourself consistently. The owner's comp account is to funnel money from a deal closes, it goes into owner's comp, and now I have money to pay myself. And this is how much I can pay myself. And then you can track. Then you're becoming a real business owner because now you're tracking something. Okay, I can put 5,000 in this month, but I really need 10K. How fast can I get to 10K? You know, it's like giving you a clear target for paying yourself because that account is different from profit in that you take it out either weekly, biweekly, or monthly. So it's more consistent. It's paying yourself for the work you do in the business. Owner's tax is just making sure you don't worry at tax time. A deal closes, and since you're not, like all your money's not funneled through to the government right away, you got to go there and make sure that you're actually going to pay if you do owe any taxes, that you're saving for from every deal that closes. So that's the owner's tax account. But if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm not a real estate investor, this concept works for any other business. Like these 3 accounts are the core accounts for the entire system. Not just real estate investing. I see this work in real estate investing businesses, but it works in other ones. The other ones, if you're a real estate investor, I'll give you the ones that I give for real estate investors specifically, which is the OPM account. I'll get to that very quickly. But the other 2 foundational ones, one of them you already have, OPEX. That's the black hole, the one that everyone has where the money goes in and out of. I would say, though, you need to separate out income from that OPEX account. So that way you can see what's really coming into the business. How much are we actually making? Then it sits in income until you transfer it to the OPEX and to the golden trio of accounts, because now you know where your money's going. Now you can say, okay, it came into income. All the deposits came in. Now I'm transferring the money. I have control over my money versus it controlling me. And it goes to the profit accounts and the accounts I want to first, and then OPEX to grow the company. OPM. OPM is a little different because it's for anyone that takes a private loan or any type of loan where they get the money funded to them for the project before it closes. So that's where it's like, okay, I'm having a project, a rehab or a rental, or I'm working on something. I get the money from a private lender. I want to put it in an OPM account so I don't mix it and commingle it with my money to run the business. Can you say Ponzi scheme? It's like, I don't want to get myself into like, oh, shoot, I ran out of the money. Now I have to use lender Z's money for lender A, for project A, because all the other ones I already dried up all the other wells and all the other money. So that just helps you know how much money do I have for the projects I currently have going on that I don't need to dip into my own operational expenses to actually fund these deals. That will save you a lot of headache. That will give you clarity of, did I get enough funding, or do I have to bring any of my money to bridge the gap because I didn't get enough, or do I need to go out there and get more of a loan because I actually just undershot what the rehab was? Those are the foundational accounts. That's the system in a crux. Like, it's not very complicated. You set up bank accounts, and then when a deal closes, you transfer them to the different accounts. And you're like, oh, well, what's the percentages? And like, well, give me more info. Read the book. The book has like the percentages that you should be doing. If you want to dive deeper into the accounts, this is just the overview. I want to get your appetite whet that you don't have to stay living deal to deal. If you just tell your money where to go, you will have the clarity to make the decisions of, do I need to make more? Am I not spending it in the right places? And am I keeping enough? If you can answer those three questions as a business owner, you are doing light years ahead of like 95% of not just the real estate community, I'd say like the entrepreneur community, because we're all the go, 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 deal, deal, deal all the time, and don't want to take the time to look at the finances. This helps you have an actual system that's built for the entrepreneur. So that's the big overview of Profit First. And like, if you could take that away, just if you could do one thing, get your keep number. Most people just don't have that number. Like, stop playing the comparison game. That'd be number one. Number two, set up some of those bank accounts and get clarity in your business. But there you go, Chris. There's the overview of Profit First. People can start implementing.
Your real estate business lives and dies by the network and the connections that you make. I mean, after all, your network, well, it's your net worth. That's what you always heard, right? If that's an area where you desire improvement, well, Private Money Club, it's for you. PMC saves you precious time and money by bringing the real estate world, well, right to you, right in the palm of your hand. So get in on the action like so many others have by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up. I love it. And just to kind of give an analogy of that, I want everybody to think and understand, and I teach this a lot, that money is nothing more than a tool.
Yeah.
But
big time.
In your garage, and I'll speak mostly to men. For women, your tools are in the kitchen in a lot of cases. And I don't mean to kind of split that up, but I'm just trying to
got the sexist comments going on.
Yeah, but whatever. Yeah. I mean, some women like you're the garage is where it is, but I'm just trying to keep this simple. So garage. In your garage, you'd only have one tool. No. You got hammers, you got Phillips head screwdrivers, you got flathead screwdrivers. Maybe you got like a impact drill. Maybe you got a saw. You got some shovels, some rakes. Maybe you got even more than that. But like, just think about all those tools that you said. Each one of those tools is built for a specific task. Yep. You don't go out in the backyard with the hammer and start digging a hole. I know we did that as a kid. We'd pound on the ground and dig that, but we didn't get very deep, did we?
No,
but then we got the shovel and we were able to dig deep, and there's multiple kinds of shovels. So what he just described, that system, it's no different. It's a system so that each one of your tools, your money, has a specific task and a specific place in the garage. Because, in your garage, you want to try to keep the tools organized. Well, in your business and in your life, you want to keep the tools, money, organized as well. It's just another way to look at it, and some of you are like, oh, you went there, you went to that sexist place. I don't care. Like, just trying to just get the point out there that you got to start looking at things a little differently than you do, because that's all money is. It's all it ever will be. And it's why when people ask me the question, David, they say, when is enough enough? What's your number? And my answer is always the same: more. Because I can never put a number on that, because there's too many other people that need help. If you just think of money and you as one, like you're doing everything you're doing with money and your business is just for you, you're being selfish. You're living a scarcity lifestyle and a scarcity mindset. Once you start thinking abundance, you start understanding that there is never going to be enough money or the tool that I referenced, because there's so many other people, so many other animals. I mean, we could go on forever that need your help. And if you have the ability to produce more tools, well, damn it, you should be out helping and giving more. So, I did a post on my Facebook the other day, and I wasn't expecting the response. And I just said, what's your number? And I said, when is enough enough? And people all had a definitive number. Now I understand, like, your keep is a definitive number, but your goal should be an infinite number, because there's too many other people that need help. And I couldn't believe, I would say 99% of all the comments that came in were a number just for that person. Now, I guess, yes, it could have been perceived differently, but really, take yourself out of the equation and serve others, give, because if you give, you get. You'll always take care of yourself if you take care of others first. And that's an interesting thing. And I think I said that, David, because that's what you're doing now. You're taking care of other people now. You're giving, and you're giving this knowledge through books and through your program, your simple CFO.
And that's why so many people love to hear that message, but they can't think of it practically because they're struggling. They're literally clawing for air. They're underwater and they don't have any extra profit or any extra money. The month comes way too, like the money ends way too soon before the month is over. So it's like, that's where so many people, like people live their home lives like this. Why would you become a business owner? Why would it change? You've got the habits that you might have had that are not great in your personal life, not managing the finances. You're not going to become a genie or a wizard at the finances on the business side. That's why you have to like lean on some of this and learn some of these skills, because it's like, okay, if you can't even think about giving because you are literally scraping by, you can't put food on the table. You have to buy, you're living deal to deal. Like if this deal doesn't close, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's like, you're just always got the tightness in your shoulders. Like that's why I love this message and being able to give this message out there now. Because I've lived it. I've lived at 25 deals a month, spending 26 worth. I've lived and seen other people do this and then going through this process and being like, okay, like I can breathe again. Like I can just take that weight off my shoulders because now I can think about those things. Like we got to make sure that we're okay. That's why I focus on that keep number. Like, can we get you to where you can start thinking about that stuff? Because if you're just constantly thinking about the money, then something is wrong. Like that's why even though we're talking about money all the time here, I don't want you thinking about money all the time. I want you to be thinking about impact, giving, the things that you want to, do with your loved ones, like the travel and all that stuff. And it's like, this is just one key, the one tool, the specific tool to say, okay, we're going to give you that margin and space to be able to do why you even started your business. Like, why did you start it? And if it was like to do, to go out there and be the biggest person, like a millionaire, like, it's like, okay, well, that takes a financial system and process. Oh, you want to travel? Okay. You need money to travel. Like, and we got to make margin for this. And like, we got to build a business, and all those things hinge on your business actually being able to be profitable and not falling into the trap that so many people do of becoming accidental nonprofits. They are literally, even if your big purpose is to like give to nonprofits, most people find themselves as nonprofits because their profit and losses shows negative all the time. It's like, what the heck? Like, why are we doing this? So I don't want you to be there. I want you to use this tool, get to where to get yourself out if you feel that way. And if you are there, then set up a giving account. Like Chris is talking about, like the sky's the limit there. Like how much can we funnel into the things that we want to do and the impact that we want to make, or the people that we want to influence.
I love it. Man, this is such good stuff. It really is. And now I know a lot of you are listening to us talk here, and it was really fast. I talk fast. David talks fast. You might be like sitting there like, wow, this is too much. You had me pull over. I couldn't even write all that fast. That's fine. This is being recorded. And watch it over. You can also get David's book. So real quick, let me just pause. David, how do people get your book? Where is it?
Yeah. If it's on Amazon. So you can go there and type in Profit First for Real Estate Investing, or if you go to simplecfo.com, we've got a link right there for the book. So you can just go right there and click on it, and it takes you right to it.
And I know some folks watching this are probably thinking, oh, but my situation's more complex. My situation's really complex and difficult. So like, I don't know. Well, great. How about getting David to then come in and work with you? Their program, it's Simple CFO. So it's a fractional CFO program. Like, hire David, go to simplecfo.com and look at his services and hire him for a period of time to get your business and your household in order. Because listen, once the system's set up, maybe that's what you're struggling with, is the act of actually doing it. Because most real estate investors are so stinking, most entrepreneurs for that matter, are so stinking busy that they can't even think about stopping to do something like this.
Right.
So David, can you just talk just a second about your service? And we don't ever sell on this podcast, but this is so vital. All of you need this, because some of you are literally hanging on, as Kelly Cardenas says, by a pinky. And you need to start reaching up and get another finger and another, so that you're grabbing on with one hand, then two hands, and then you pull yourself up on the ledge. You might need a little extra help, and that might cost you a little extra money, but a little extra money to save your butt and not fall from that pinky letting loose, it's well worth it. So David, talk a little bit about your services that you offer with the Fractional CFO.
So most people think that their first hire on the financial side needs to be a bookkeeper or CPA, and I say it's dead wrong. You need a CFO. You need someone that's going to manage the financial side and make sure you don't have to do cleanup work again, rework. You get a bad CPA who doesn't file your tax. Like what we do is we put a financial leader on your team. And we lay the financial foundation. That's the first part of our program where we do three things. We make sure you have a good bookkeeper that knows what the freak they're doing, that gets you a P&L balance sheet that makes sense so you can act like a business owner and say that I know my numbers and I can make decisions from them. We implement profit first as part of the financial foundation. So making sure you know where your cash is going, every single dollar gets a name and we hold you accountable to that. Then we put it in a dashboard. That's the third part of it. So it's like, here's your end product of like, here's all the numbers, what you're making, spending, keeping, your cash flow projections, like how much money do we need to finish all of our flips or whatever it might be. Like, let's do a rental analysis, like different things like that to make sure that you're on track with the money side. So you don't have to have the financial headaches. Most people just don't want to tackle the financial side because they think, oh, I have to manage the bookkeeper and then I have to talk to the CPA. Let us do all that for you. Like that, make sure you have a financial person on the team. And it's a fractional CFO service. So that what that means is part-time and way less money than a full-time $250,000 a year CFO, chief financial officer. So that's what we do. And then we make sure then from there, you have the financial foundation. Then we stay on your team to make sure that you're actually going in that direction and using the tools to be able to make decisions based on what the numbers are telling you and saying, this is where you need to spend the money. This is where that needs to come from. And like, are you keeping enough of it and keeping you accountable to those things? That's it in a nutshell.
Oh man, that's good stuff. So folks, in the description, if you are driving 65 or 85 down the thruway, we're going to put all these links. We're going to put the links so you can get a hold of David. We're going to put the links so that you can get his book. You know, if you just want, now, do you have your book in an audiobook by chance?
I do on Audible, so you can listen to it, or the ebook. So did all the different forms and distribution. So just make sure. And then I'll even do this. If you go to simplecfo.com, I think it's /gift or gifts. One of them is the updated one. Go to one of those, and I believe I give the whole book away, the ebook. I don't care. I want you to have the full book. Like, download it, read it, and get this in you. It is too important, and there's not enough people talking about it for me to hoard all the information. So if you're like, what are the percentages? Like, how much do I transfer? When do I transfer? Like, how do I get this in a system in my actual business? Like, what do I do if I'm a little bit bigger? Like, these are questions that I address in the book. Go to simplecfo.com /give and just download the full book. Like, I don't care. I want you to have it so that way you can get out of that rat race. And please, for the love of God, don't spend all the money just because it's there. Like, that's Parkinson's law in a nutshell. It's like, just because it's there, I'm going to spend it. Don't do that. Be smart with it. Spend it on the things that will return you more and get you to where you want to be. So that's another thing as well too. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I love it. And folks, you know, listen, we've covered a lot of ground on this. You definitely got to take action. And also one additional step that plugs and plays with this model perfectly is what we teach with the infinite banking concept and BYOB, be your own banker. So if you want to learn more about that, you can also go to chrisnaugle.com, watch the 90-minute video, and that will also give you this strategy just in a different light with you being your own bank, like we mentioned earlier. But folks, I just want to wrap this episode up real quick by saying thank you to David and thank you to all of you for spending your time, your energy, and your effort to learn something new. And make sure you check out David's podcast, which I'm actually going to be on in just a moment. That is actually, David, what is your podcast? It's Profit First for Real Estate?
Yeah, Profit First REI podcast. So for real estate investors.
There you go, folks. So let's see you over on that one as well. Have a good day. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.